Most disturbing human experiments in history. This list contains descriptions and images of human experimentation which may cause offense to some viewers. If you can't handle this, stop watching and leave this video right away. But if you are strong enough, try to subscribe to this channel and turn on the notification so you will be notified to my new bizarre videos. Enjoy! Electroshock therapy on children. In the 1960s, Dr. Loretta Bender of New York's Creedmoor Hospital began what she believed to be a revolutionary treatment for children with social issues. Bender's methods included interviewing and analyzing a sensitive child in front of a large group, then applying a gentle amount of pressure to the child's head. Supposedly, any child who moved with the pressure was showing early signs of schizophrenia. Herself the victim of misunderstood childhood, Bender was said to be unsympathetic to the children in her care. By the time her treatments were shut down, Bender had used electroshock therapy on over 100 children, the youngest whom was age 3. Prison inmates as test subjects. In 1951, Dr. Albert M. Klingman, a dermatologist at University of Pennsylvania and a future inventor of Retin A, began experimenting on inmates at Philadelphia's Holmesburg prison. As Klingman later told a newspaper reporter,
"All I saw before me were acre of skin. It was like a farmer seeing a field for the first time."
over the next 20 years, inmates willingly allowed Klingman to use their bodies in experiments involving toothpaste, deodorant, shampoo, skin creams, detergents, liquid diets, eye drops, foot powders, and hair dyes. Though these tests required constant biopsies and painful procedures, none of the inmates experienced long-term harm. Sexual reassignment. In 1965, Canadian David Peter Reamer was born biologically male, but at 7 months old, his penis was accidentally destroyed during an unconventional circumcision by cauterization. John Money, a psychologist and proponent of the idea that gender is learned, convinced that Reamers that their son would be more likely to achieve successful, functional sexual maturation as a girl. Though Money continued to report only success over the years, David's own account insisted that he had never identified as female. He spent his childhood teased, ostracized, and seriously depressed. At age 38, David committed suicide by shooting himself in the head. Effect of radiation on testicles. Between 1963 and 1973, dozens of Washington and Oregon prison inmates were used as test subjects in an experiment designed to test the effects of radiation on testicles. Bribed with cash and the suggestion of parole, 132 inmates willingly agreed to participate in the experiments conducted by the University of Washington on behalf of the U.S. government. In most cases, subjects were zapped with over 400 rods of radiation in 10-minute intervals. However, it was much later that the inmates learned that the experiments were far more dangerous than they had been told. In 2000, the former participants settled a $2.4 million class action settlement from the university. Milgram experiment. In 1961, Stanley Milgram, a psychologist at Yale University, began a series of social psychology experiments that measured the willingness of test subjects to obey an authority figure. Conducted only 3 months after the start of the trial of the German Nazi war criminal Adolf Eichmann, Milgram's experiment sought to answer the question:
Could it be that Eichmann and his million accomplices in the Holocaust were just following orders?
In the experiment, two participants were separated into two rooms where they could hear but not see each other. The test subjects would then read a series of questions to the actor, punishing each wrong answer with an electric shock. Though many people would indicate their desire to stop the experiment, almost all subjects continued when they were told they would not be held responsible or that there would not be any permanent damage. Human experimentation in North Korea. Several North Korean defectors have described witnessing disturbing cases of human experimentation. In one alleged experiment, 50 healthy women prisoners were given poisoned cabbage leaves. All 50 women were died within 20 minutes. Other described experiments include the practice of surgery on prisoners without anesthesia, purposeful starvation, beating prisoners over the head before using the zombie-like victims for target practice, and chambers in which whole families are murdered with suffocation gas. It is said that each month, a black van known as the Crawl collects 40 to 50 people from a camp and takes them to an unknown location for experiments. Unit 731. From 1937 to 1945, the Imperial Japanese Army developed a covert biological and chemical warfare research experiment called Unit 731. Based in large city of Harbin, Unit 731 was responsible for some of the most atrocious war crimes in history. Chinese and Russian subjects, men, women, children, infants, and elderly, and pregnant women, were subjected to experiments which included the removal of organs from live body, amputation for the study of blood loss, germ warfare attacks, and weapon testing. Some prisoners even had their stomachs surgically removed and their esophagus reattached to the intestines. Many of the scientists involved in Unit 731 rose to prominent careers in politics, academia, business, and medicine. Nazi experiments. Nazi human experimentation was medical experimentation on large numbers of people by the German Nazi regime in its concentration camps during World War II. At Auschwitz, under the direction of Dr. Edward Wirtz, selected inmates were subjected to various experiments which were supposedly designed to help German military personnel in combat situations, to aid in recovery of military personnel that had been injured, and to advance the racial ideology backed by the Third Reich. Experiments on twin children in concentration camps were created to show the similarities and differences in the genetics and eugenics of twins, as well as to see if the human body can be naturally manipulated. The central leader of the experiments was Dr. Joseph Mengele, who performed experiments on over 1,500 sets of imprisoned twins, of which fewer than 200 individuals survived the studies. Dr. Mengele organized the testing of genetics in twins. The twins were arranged by age and sex and kept in barracks in between the tests, which ranged from the injection of different chemicals into the eyes of the twins to see if it would change their colors to literally sewing the twins together in hopes of creating conjoined twins. Well, that is all for today's video. I hope you subscribe for more bizarre things, for more weird things. But if you can't handle this, you can get out of this channel. This is Miss Bizarre, and see you on my next video.